pleased to meet you.
Very pleased to meet you too.
Your name's Liz Lenton, and
Yes,
you created the band Auburn.
that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. How are you? This is wonderful, wonderful Friday. We have a very special guest here. You see Miss Smiley Face sitting right there. And guitars in the background, which I usually like to look in the background of every artist we have on our podcast to see what they have. And it's really amazing. Then later on, you can come up with a question like, what kind of guitar is that? Is that a Martin? Is that a Gibson? So,
Yeah.
about Liz Lenton, her
Yeah.
musical journey is a testament to her versatility and passion. And from the intimate jazz clubs of London to the vibrant studios of Nashville, she's captivated audiences with her soulful voice and unique blend of Americana, blues, and roots music. So in 1999, she co founded Auburn with longtime collaborator Mark Gustavina. Their
Correct.
debut album, Dreams, and the hit single Cry propelled them into the indie music scene. With Liz's husky vocals and a beautiful English accent there as well. And the band's rich instrumentation, Auburn quickly gained a dedicated following. And after a decade long hiatus, we're going to ask about that, they returned with a critically acclaimed Indian Summer in 2012. This album showcased their musical evolution, drawing comparisons to iconic artists like, get this, Macy Gray, Dusty Springfield, the incredible Tom Waits, and Mr. Suzanne himself, Leonard Cohen, and he also wrote Hallelujah as well.
I know. Thank you for that.
Suzanne's my favorite song, yeah. Hey, I don't see Boss Skaggs here anywhere. Their collaboration with Grammy-nominated producer Tom Jutz led to a series of acclaimed albums, including Nashville, Mixed Feelings, Love and Promises, and the innovative 2019 release Game of Faith. Life is a game, but we got to do it in faith.
Yes, exactly.
So these albums solidified Auburn's international reputation and garnered critical praise. Now, beyond their studio work, get this, Auburn has shared the stage with legendary musicians like Jefferson Starship, and I'm sure you met Grace Slick, Martin Carthy, and Sophie Ellis Bextor. I'd be more interested in Jefferson Starship. Their live performances are an engaging and intimate experience. So, everyone, in 2022, Liz was honored by HM Queen Elizabeth with the British Empire Medal for her services to music and her community focused music education initiatives. This recognition underscores her dedication to sharing her passion with others. As Auburn continues to evolve and collaborate, Liz remains committed to creating music that resonates with audiences worldwide. With her latest releases, including the recent digital EP, My Favorite Mistake, new single Good to Be Anywhere, and the upcoming 2025 vinyl hasn't died. The vinyl LP Behind the Scenes, they are hoping to continue to resonate with listeners. Hello, Liz.
Hello. Gosh, that's difficult to listen to that all. You're just sitting there going,
Well,
my
since I
head.
said everything, we don't need you now. So,
Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.
okay, bye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Got it all now.
Um, Thank you for being on the podcast. Really wonderful to meet you. Can you tell us what inspired you to start your musical career and how did you develop your unique style?
Well, I've wanted to be a performer. I wanted to be an actress when I was 4, but I moved on to wanting to be a singer when I was 5 and a songwriter when I was about 7. It's just something I've always wanted to do. I started singing with, bands, jazz bands when I was 16. My poor parents used to have to drag me around because I couldn't drive then. They became my first ever groupies, probably my last ever groupies actually, and roadies, all tied into one. Um, and I just always loved singing and performing as a kid. And I think developing the style, it's an interesting one. I have so many different influences and had growing up. And over the years, I've had various issues with my voice. So my mum died and I lost my voice.
Mm.
And when it kind of came back, it was slightly different. And I started to use it in a different way. So that's kind of more how my vocal style developed over the years. And I think the writing style just develops through collaboration and through listening to Leonard Cohen, to Tom Waits, to all the people that you mentioned.
Did you have any pushback from your family as a musician? You can't go anywhere as a musician. Here, I'll tell you what, dear. You lawyer, doctor, you make lots of money. What
Well,
kind of
yes and no.
encouragement?
The rest of my family's medical. My dad was a doctor. My mum was a phlebotomist. My sister's a psychologist. Brother's a doctor. My grandfather
Wow.
was a doctor. So I'm the white sheep of the family. And I think I kind of got away with it because I was the noisy middle child. And I think they were just delighted that I'd found something I wanted to do. And I've had, my family's support forever. I have been asked my whole life, when are you going to get a proper job?
That's true.
And that's never.
I would probably ask my own daughter, I said, when are you going to get a proper job? If she came to me and said, I want to be a musician, I said, well, I want to learn the cello. Okay, the cello's good.
Yeah.
Violin's good. And you play a guitar. Now, when you picked up your first guitar, I always ask an artist, when you pick up your first guitar, what's the first song you play on it? Is Mary Had a Little Lamb, Thunderstruck? Is it Smoke on the Water? Is it Smokin'? What
Well,
song do you consider?
my dad taught me to play three chords on the guitar when I was about 5, and I wrote my first song, and it was about a lion,
Mm.
and it had 2 chords. I can't remember it completely, but I know that it was called "The Lion and Me," and I played it over and over and over and over again until I drove everybody mad. And then I kind of got into Israeli folk songs.
Can you tell us about the early days of Auburn and how the band was formed? And how did you choose the members?
So Mark Gustavina, who I formed the band with, who I still work with, he's still my main songwriting collaborator, and he's pretty much always with me live. There's very few shows I've done. So I used to run a rehearsal and recording studio in North London, in Tottenham, and I'd started writing. I'd had a deal with a label in the UK, and I was looking for people to work with, and he was one of my first customers actually in my studio. And I just got on with him so well, so I kind of put the band together there. And over the years, we've added collaborators and musicians. Some people have been with us 15 years, some people have been with us 5 years. And people just come and go depending on what else they're doing. If you've got brilliant musicians, they're going to be busy. So we have a little, Auburn is really more like a collective than a set band. There's about 8 or 9 of us, and I just pick who's available for the show, and off we go.
Yeah, how did your debut album Dreams become reality? Like the single Cry shape your career?
It did really well. Dreams was a kind of trip hop album, which back in the day was very happening then. And I was really lucky. My manager at the time took it to Me Demo Popcom, and she got a deal initially in Germany with a label there, and then we got a tour with Sophie Ellis Bextor, supporting Sophie Ellis Bextor all around the UK and then all around Europe, and that kind of you know lifted the profile. And then Cry got to number 5 in the indie charts, and that kind of put us on the map a little bit then.
Well, many artists write songs and release music according to experiences. Is there some sort of love affair, missing person, death of a loved one for the song "Cry"?
For the song Cry, it's a funny one because people always assume everything is autobiographical, and there's
Yeah.
obviously elements of that and flavors in that. But about I write about a lot of other people, things that happen to other people, things that people say to me, things that happen to me, but then they normally get twisted in a song. I think it was Gretchen Peters who told me songs have to be truthful but not factual. So the emotion and the principles are true, but you don't have to stick to the exact facts. So it's kind of a little bit like that, really. I think it's Cry was just really about trying to support people. Generally, nobody in specific at that point.
Yeah, it can mean something. I mean, like people think that because you have song titles that are so sorrowful and morose, you're thinking cry. There's an experience there, you know. Like for instance, the Bohemian Rhapsody song by Queen, when Freddie Mercury goes, "Mama, I killed a man," and you're not understanding who the man he killed is and what the
Yeah.
reason for that is. But people always ask, like, this really interesting. You hear a song and you're wondering what is the makeup of that? Why? What's the song about? You also have a song called "Bathroom Shelf." Okay, what's the experience there? Is there
Oh my
something you lost in the bathroom shelf?
God. Okay, am I going to tell the official story or the truth? I think I'll tell the official story. Well, the story is about looking at a photo on somebody's shelf and wanting to be that person, looking at a photo of somebody that looks as though they're truly madly, deeply in love and just having a time and just wishing that you were that person and that you had that love. Basically, I wish I was the girl sitting on your bathroom shelf. But yeah, that's the story.
Wow,
I'm convinced.
amazing. Do you collaborate with? I guess you collaborated with Mark for all the songs. Is there a song that you wrote on your own?
I've written, I suppose about half of my stuff is written on my own of the last 4 albums. I do a lot of writing on my own, just sitting here late at night, strumming away into my kind of, sit on the thing and strum away into the corner there. But I've collaborated with lots of people. The new single, Good to Be Anywhere, that was written with Martin Sutton, who did Leanne Rimes, Backstreet Boys, people like that. And I've got these two fantastic guys that I collaborate with online. We call ourselves Andrew Whiskey and the Rocks. And one of the guys is in Rio, the other guy's in Zurich. I'm here in the middle of the English countryside. And we do a lot of collaborations there. And I've collaborated with lots of different songwriters. In fact, the forthcoming album, the vinyl, is all collaborations. They're all co-writes. They're pretty much, except for the odd one, they're pretty much all co-writes and collaborations.
So, what was the reason for Auburn's decade-long hiatus? How did you decide to make a comeback with Indian Summer?
Well, it was really when my daughter was born, and we did the Sophie tour just before she started school. But once your kids start school, suddenly you have a routine. Um, and so that kind of put paid to touring because I didn't want to be away, from her when she was little. And I got much more involved then with the teaching and my choir and the educational and management during that period. And I just had a little breather from doing my own stuff. And then as she got older, when she got to senior school, it became easier to move about. And so I sort of started again, and we did the Indian Summer album. Um, and then I was talking to Gretchen Peters, the country singer songwriter, amazing country singer songwriter, Gretchen, who I've worked with in various guises, and she suggested Tom Jukes to me as a producer, and said, your stuff would be great with him. So I contacted Tom, and he loved it. So I went over to Nashville, and I've now done 4 albums there with him.
Wow, you mentioned choir. So, were you singing in the choir or were you leading a choir?
I lead a youth choir from 8 to 25 years old.
Wow.
It's open access. It's non-audition. It's They are the loves of my life. It's my favourite thing that I do in the whole world. At the moment, we rehearse here, we're crammed in here on a Tuesday evening, and they do quite a few performances. And it's just my favourite thing in the world to do, and it's our 15th year this year.
Wow, that's an amazing story. Do you think your music has evolved over the years, Liz? Like, what influences have shaped your sound?
I hope so. Yes, I hope it has. Um, I think the the influences are songwriters. I just love songwriters. So listening to people like Tom Waits and Leonard Cohen and Bob Dylan and all the great songwriters. Really, it's not any specific one for me. I just really love the songs that get into the lyrics, that tell the stories. And I hope, and also collaborating. The more people that I've worked with, the more I've learned, and the more I've soaked up. I always find that 1 plus 1 makes 3 when it comes to a song. You just seem to have so much more. Yeah, when there's 2 heads or 3 heads on it, you've just got more. I think more than 3 is difficult, because then it's too much discussion. I did write a song with 150 children, for 1,000 children to sing. That was pretty chaotic, but normally I would stick to 2 or 3.
What do you do when you have creative blocks?
Well, I don't anymore. I've been working with the Songwriting Academy with Martin Sutton and his crew at the Songwriting Academy for the last few years. And they have come up with so many wonderful techniques to avoid um, writer's block and to just get inspiration. They basically teach you to literally open your eyes in the morning, and everything I see now, like now, it's very windy here, and I can see the trees blowing outside. That's already giving me lyrical ideas. I can see the houses far, far away from there and from me, but I can see them because it's very flat here. So they're a few miles away and I can see them, and I'm already wondering what's going on in those houses. And I won't ever know, but I'll make something up. So I just, they really taught me to see, inspiration in everything. And people say things now, when you hear something and you think that'd make a great song, that'd make a great lyric, and then you forget it. I now religiously, I write everything down. My friends, and they hate me now because they'll say something and they can see me run and get a pen or type it onto my phone. Sorry, what did you just say? What did you just say? So I genuinely don't anymore. I can, I can open a book, or I can open a magazine, or I can watch a film, or I can go for a walk, and something will get me.
Yeah. Um, what if you don't get along with one of your collaborators? You tell them to beep off, or do you just try to deal with it and try to
I'm
work with
far
them?
too polite. I'm one of these people because I've been working for myself my whole life pretty much,
Mm.
but I also work in teams and in projects a lot. I just get to the end of it and move on. I'm not into confrontation at all. I just try and get to the end of the project and just don't work with them again. It rarely it rarely happens. I've not had any big blow ups or anything like that in the studio. I've just kept my shit together and kept it calm and got to the end of it and just gone, no, thank you for next time. There's been
Amazing.
a couple of those.
Amazing. Hey, share with us some insights into your collaboration with Grammy nominated producer Tom Jutz. What was that like?
Well, I've done 4 albums with Tom Newts, in his studio in TJ Tunes in Nashville. The first time I went was pretty mind blowing because in England we're a little bit lackadaisical. So if we've got a 12 o'clock session, everyone will turn up about 12:30. Then the kettle goes on. Then we have a natter, and then eventually we kind of get started. It's not like that working with Tom. At 10 o'clock, everybody's there and set up. Like at 10:15, the first track's in the back can. It's a little bit mind blowing the first time for me. They work very quickly. They're all incredible musicians. I've done 4 albums with them now. Tom's I'm not saying he's weird, but he's unusual because he's incredibly technically brilliant and organized, but he's also musically, he play a solo that will just melt you into the floor, and you're like, wow. And he'll just give a little nod. That's about the most exuberance you get. But I've done 4 albums. He just gets me, gets my material. He always knows what to do. I think in the 40 or 50 tracks I've worked with him now, I think there's been 1 or 2 occasions that I've said, I'm not sure about that. Can we try something else? Everything he's done, it's almost like he lives in my head sometimes.
Yeah, there's nothing like being a woman with a man in your head.
I
That happens
know.
with me.
Where
I'm
did
thinking of
you get all my
all the
songs
girls.
from?
I'm thinking of all like the how the Willie Nelson song goes, of all the girls I loved before. They're always in my head. I'm thinking, which one should I like? Does It's like, ah.
I
Um,
know, I know. I did post a picture actually of my of a whole load of cables in a big jumble yesterday, saying that's the inside of my head right now.
well, I should have worn my cowboy hat. I forgot. Hey, did you go to the ISSA? Did you go to the uh, songwritings? The ISSA International Songwritings
No,
in
no,
Nashville last year with Kate and Gordon? No, you didn't make
I
it, huh?
didn't make it. No, I didn't. Unfortunately, I haven't been to Nashville for the last few years because Tom and I have done the last EP and a lot of the new material. We've been doing it over the internet, which is great because because you can these days. But I am missing Nashville. I want to come back, so hopefully I'll get this album done this year here between here and Nashville, and then next year I shall go back to Nashville and do it in person.
Yeah. What kind of Liz? What kind of themes do you like to explore in your music?
It's pretty much usually I like relationship themes. I like the usual love, loss, misery, joy, usually miserable things. But I'm getting a little bit chirpier now. I've got a few songs now that aren't absolutely depressing. um, I like to explore relationships and the nuances between them. I'm really, interested in that and how people think and how people respond and how people react. And I love stories. So I have a song called New Year's Day, and it's basically about domestic violence, manslaughter, and getting away with it. And the amount of people who ask me if that's a true
Mm.
story. I'm like, well, yeah, it's, I haven't actually accidentally killed somebody, but it's great that people are convinced enough to think it could be true.
Wow. How did you feel when you received the British Empire Medal in 2022, and what does it mean to you?
Well, when I first got the notification, I just thought it was a joke. I thought someone was trying to wind me up, so I ignored the email. I just thought, I'm not replying to this. It's someone trying to wind me up, and they're going to write back and go, haha, I got you. So I kind of ignored the first one, thinking very funny. And then I got the phone call from Buckingham Palace, which was a bit strange. And I'm saying, sorry, it's who? Honest here. I'm like, yes, of course it is. And they're like, no, really, it is. We're checking you got. Um, and it was, I'm not, oh God, yes, I'm going to say this out loud. I'm not a huge monarchist. I'm, in my heart, not a huge monarchist, but I don't have a big problem with the British royal family like a lot of people because I recognise that, they are who they are, they're put where they are, and they do some work. Also, I was set up my very first business with the the Prince's Youth Business Trust when I was,
Wow.
young. So I have some. So I was really thrilled because it's mainly about the work that I do in my local community, the choirs, the music clubs. I bring a lot of professional musicians into Lincolnshire, which is it's actually a big county, but it's very rural. So we don't see a lot and it's got no big main motorways here. So we don't get a lot of big professional artists here. So I've brought a lot of professional artists into the county, and I've done a lot of work in the county and in community work. So yeah, I suppose it's validation, when you're a musician, you don't get qualifications for being a musician. um, so I suppose it was validation, and my family was so proud. And I took my sister to Buckingham Palace um, to a garden party, which she absolutely loved. She ate all the
Wow.
cakes with little crowns on. And I got invited to King Charles' coronation as well, which was bizarre.
Yeah, my current girl relationship lives in Lincolnshire, so we communicate back and forth. She's 5 hours ahead, so
Yeah,
but
that's how I am. Where is
well,
she?
it's a long story. I don't really want to get into it. Let's do our podcast, and once I press the end record, then we can talk because I don't
Yeah,
want this to get out. But back in, but for another thing is that I went to England when I was 12 with my parents and my brother, and we went to Piccadilly Circus. My mother wanted to see Oxford University, or Oxford. We went to Oxford by train
Very nice.
and traveled on the subways there, and went to the pet stores there, and you could literally adopt spider monkeys. I don't know if you can do that now. Um, but it was great, and why I didn't go back, I don't know. I guess it's because I didn't meet a girl in England yet. But uh, yeah, so I really appreciate all British music and the Beatles, and I have a lot of artists who are from the UK on my podcast. I love England. In fact, talking about the British royalty, I would love to have had tea with the Queen and Prince Philip.
Would
Um,
you?
I would love to have had that. We did go see the Buckingham Palace, but back in 76, 77, they were doing some extensive renovations on Buckingham Palace or Buckingham Palace. Um,
Buckhouse.
and we couldn't do the tour. Um, but yeah, it would have been nice to meet the Queen. So
I
Liz,
was I
what?
was told when I went to Buckingham Palace to try and take a souvenir. So I was looking around for anything that I could disappear with,
Oh,
and I was winding my sister up completely, that I was going to go and smoke a doobie in the toilets like Paul McCartney did. I didn't,
yeah.
but I just wanted to wind her up.
You ever heard of the Empress Hotel?
In London.
Yeah. So my brother went and his wife went to the Empress Hotel, and he says that for a cup of tea was $50 or £50. I'm like, that's one expensive cup of tea. I hope it's in gold.
Yeah,
You know?
in a cold cup. It's not that bad in London these days, but yeah, I mean
But
London's
but
expensive.
London was great. England was, yeah, London was great. So I wish hope hopefully I can go and visit Kim this summer, Kimberly. But so what challenges, Lynn? Come on, wake up. What challenges,
Sorry.
Liz? Sorry, everyone. It's Liz Lenton. My apologies. What challenges, Liz, have you faced in the music industry, and how have you overcome them?
I think challenges faced as most independent artists have the same sort of challenges as me, which is getting your music out there and getting it heard. And um, that's always the challenge for any indie artist. When I was younger, I did have deals with labels, but for various reasons, things didn't work out, which is why I went independent. A good friend of mine, actually, who used to manage Corinne Bailey Ray, said to me, "You do a better job yourself, Liz." So I did. I set up my own label. So I think the main challenges are always just getting your stuff out there. I think promotion is the biggest challenge for musicians. Um, I don't really see any other challenges. The rest of it, I absolutely love. Writing is a dream. Recording is fun. Live is the best. Collaborating is, little slice of heaven. It's only when you have to get down to the nitty gritty and the promotion it's just very competitive and and it's also subjective, isn't it? It's you just don't know who's going to like what really. You can try and target, but music's so personal. I think it's I think it is quite difficult. And also, when I was younger, I used to get very upset if I got a negative review or. But now I don't. Now I'm more comfortable thinking, okay, it's not your thing. It's of course not. It's fine. It's not going to be everybody's, is it?
Um, can you tell us about Auburn's live performances and what makes them special? Like, for instance, you shared the stage with Grace Slick, Jefferson Starship herself. What was it like?
Not Grace Slick with Paul Camp. Now I did several tours with Grace was
Oh,
on board.
really?
Did
Oh,
yeah? I
Grace wasn't there. Oh, she doesn't
Grace was
perform anymore?
She doesn't perform anymore. I believe she's an
Oh.
artist now, a painter. I know. Actually, the guys that the Jefferson Starship, the current lineup, I know that they're very good friends with Grace Slick, and I don't believe I know she supports them. But no, I toured with Paul Cantler's Jefferson Starship. We did
Mm.
about 3 or 4 tours with Paul, or five, and I was very lucky to get on stage every night with them. Kathy, the lead singer now, Kathy Richardson, amazing singer. She played Janis Joplin on Broadway. She used to get me up on stage with her and Paul and David Freeberg every night, which was an absolute blast, singing volunteers with them. And then we did some shows with the Burrito Brothers, the Flying Burrito Brothers, and also with Live Dead 69, which is Tom Constantin, you know, Tom, TC, was the keyboard player with Grateful Dead. I've done 3 or 4 tours with them as well, and he's adorable. I believe he's retired this year. Now he's hit 80.
What was this whole one with Leonard Cohen? Did you literally meet him and share the stage with him, or just
No, no, I didn't meet. I've never met Leonard Cohen. I've just, like every other songwriter, just besotted. This is so
oh? Who would you
not
have loved? Who would you love to? What's your ultimate collaboration? Who would you like to share the stage with, and maybe write a song with, like a duet collaboration?
Bonnie Raitt. Bonnie Raitt. I would
Really?
love, yes, I love Bonnie Raitt. I've loved Bonnie Raitt since I was a kid, and I
Mm,
still do. I'm going to see her in June. She's in the UK in June. I'm going to see her
mm.
again. So yeah, she would be my first choice if I could collaborate with anybody. But I'd love to sing with Ray Lamontage. I absolutely love his voice. I'd love to collaborate with him. Um, and yeah, I have a list, a wish list.
What if suddenly one day you're doing your thing in the studio and suddenly, hello, hello, this is
That's a
Paul McCartney. I wonder if we can come in and do a collaboration with you. Would you?
Paul. I say, oh, go on then, mate. Go on, Paul. Come on. Yeah, and make sure we got a good seat because he's getting on a bit now, isn't he? But yeah, well, obviously, I don't know. I think any musician that would not collaborate with Paul McCartney would be a bit daft. I can't, I like the Beatles like any other music. They're not. I'm not a huge Beatles fan. I'm much more into, the jazzy, bluesy stuff. But you can't knock them. They're incredible songwriters.
Yeah. What do you think of artificial intelligence? Like, would you ever dare to, you know what? I like to collaborate with David Bowie or collaborate with Michael Jackson. So here's my voice, and let's do a song. Would you allow that, or would you say nope, no AI at all? What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on AI is that it's a useful tool in admin side of things. I mean, we use it, for instance, in our office to write press releases or to get you started on that kind of thing. I know there's a lot of discussion about AI. I'm not as petrified of it as everybody else because I just don't ever think that AI is going to. My daughter works in AI and robotics. She's postgrad doing a PhD in that. And I remember her saying to me, Mum, you don't want to be scared of AI, you want to be scared of the people that are using it. And it's like AI is never going to think because AI can only learn from what they're taught. And what you're taught is objective. So I could teach my AI to write exactly like Leonard Cohen in theory, but it would pick up. It doesn't have the heart, so it just picks up the basics, and it would. So I'm not. I'm not keen on AI as an art form. I just think, it's a bit like electronic music and acoustic music. I think it's a preference. I think there will be AI generated songs and there'll be a fan base for them. Um, and I think some people love acoustic and love analog and love that real visceral thing. And other people like more digital sound and more electronic and more, so I guess the people that are into that kind of music are more likely to go for the AI stuff. And I think people that want to have their hearts dragged out of them, painfully and slowly and then shoved back in again, I think they'll probably stick with human writers.
Yeah,
Those are my
well,
thoughts.
without AI, I know Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr couldn't produce and release, they say, the last Beatles song called Now and Then. They used AI to extract John Lennon's vocals from the
Yeah,
piano, and
that's
then they
what I mean.
used it for.
It's a
So now
tool.
you have this beautiful song that they used AI, and it's amazing. So it can be used for good. But now there's
Yeah,
I don't know if you heard of Miss Crystal, but she has a YouTube channel. She's an artist, but she's also a music lawyer. You should check her out. It's on the mu- uh, music lawyer. Her name's Crystal M. Crystal Delgado,
oh,
and she says that even if you use AI to produce a song, create a song, it's still under copyright. So you got to watch that. It's really interesting. Her
So
channel is
who owns the copyright then? The
yeah.
AI,
So
the owner of
like
the AI.
if you use like Suno or Udio, which is two of the sort of they say the best music generators for AI, chances are that they take a lot of music from other genres and put them together. So she's kind of like AI. Like this one guy used AI to create music, and then he got a letter from the lawyer about how it's been copyrighted, and so she made a whole video on this. Um, so,
Just,
what are some memorable moments from your tours and collaborations with other artists?
let me think. Well, I mean, tours, the Sophie Baxter tour was the sort of one of the biggest things that we did. We played to about 40,000 people. And that was just, that was just amazing to just to be able to play to those kind of crowds night after night, and people, were so welcome. The Jefferson Starship tours were just a blast. I mean, probably some of the best moments. Getting up on stage with Paul Kantner and David Freeberg is like, me and my guitarists were there just pinching each other, going, "Oh, are we actually singing volunteers with Paul Kantner? What's going on?" So those were pretty amazing moments. And I've had some, moments in festivals that, and you've had people singing back to you. That's a kind of heart stop moment, and you're sort of pinching yourself. And I'm playing Hammersmith Odeon, as it was called there. It's about Apollo now, but playing the Hammersmith Odeon was a bit of a moment, you know. I think. So yeah, just lots of just little moments of pinching myself. And in fact, being in Nashville and recording with Tom and those amazing, Ry Cooder's bass player is on my last 4 albums, and he's now one of my dear friends. And I still have to pinch myself that Mark Fain has played on 50 of my songs. It's like, really? And then Mo Pleasure, who is Earth, Wind and Fire MD, he's just played on 2 of my latest songs. So for me, it's getting the opportunity to work with some of my heroes, slowly but
Wow.
surely.
Liz, going through all this special collaborations and working with Tom, and how do you balance your studio work and live performances and other commitments to still deal with your mental health? How do you do it?
That's a good question. Um, I'm 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 a hot mess, if you know what I mean. I am. It's like organized chaos. I have a diary. She's just the other side. I have a PA, my wonderful PA Daisy, who I'm going to give a shout out to. I love you, Daisy. I would be
Spoken to
lost
Daisy,
without.
yeah, she's nice.
Yeah, she is lovely. She's not just my right hand, she's sort of my crutches as well. My family are incredibly supportive and always have been. Particularly, when my daughter was younger and when I was working, they would always look after her and cover me. So I've had a lot of support from my family and friends, which I really couldn't do without. But I know what you mean. It can be difficult. It can be difficult because, particularly when you're an aspiring musician, because or more to the point when you're a working musician, because you get a lot of people think. I remember doing an interview at the BBC once, and the guy said, "Why do you still do it when you haven't had a number one?" And I couldn't answer because I was just thinking, what kind of question is that? But Gus just said, there isn't a musician in the world that does it for any other reason than they love music, and it's what they're born to do. And I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for him making that reply for me, because I was just thinking, what? So you stop if you've not had a number one? I mean, why do you? I don't know. It's just a daft question. To me, it's not something that you choose to do. It's just something that you do.
So I guess some points some artists would in order to get inspiration. Basically, it's what is it? Music is sort of like 1% inspiration, 99%
And
perspiration.
perspiration too.
So many of them go for walks and they look and say, "Hey, a tree! Oh, look at that bird! Oh, this and that! Oh, okay, I got a song."
Yeah.
So, and you got to clear your mind because if you're going through all these, you're going to be like this. Insanity is going to spread. And you're going to get this problem with your mental health, and it's like even my boss had mentioned the other day, if you ever need a mental health day, take it. And I'm like, okay. So
Wow.
yeah,
It's
it's
because you have to switch. Sometimes I'll be in the office in the morning doing some admin, then I'll be maybe in the studio in the afternoon doing some editing, maybe, or writing, and then I might have my choir in the evening. And I am constantly switching hats. Um, and yeah, I usually am okay with it because I'm used to it. But if it all gets a bit much, I'm one of these people that goes falling off to the bosom of family and cuddles up with them until it's past.
yeah. Um, so what role does community focused music education initiatives play in your life?
Huge role, a huge role. It's something that's very, very close to my heart. I've been running my community youth club for 20 years. We have some ridiculous stats. I think we've worked with something like 300,000 children over the years,
Wow.
and we've done about 50. Um, I've got the stats somewhere, but we've done loads of projects. We've engaged with a lot of children. We've just finished a project which was a co-design project with young children.
Wow.
Basically, they decided on everything. We just steered them and mentored them, and they wrote a show called Big Dreams, which is about going for your dreams, even if people are trying to knock you down or put you off, or it's sticking to your guns and sticking to your dreams. And one of our participants was a 19-year-old girl who was totally blind. She'd been blind from birth. She was an amazing piano player. And, and we have quite a few children with special educational needs and children on the spectrum. And to me, it's just, it's lifeblood. To me, I think that's what I always say. My kids, as in the kids that I work with, they keep me sane. The musicians drive me mad, and the kids keep me sane. They say never work with animals and children, but I disagree. I think children just they bring you back to earth, and just to see, to see. One of the kids said the other day, "I used to be scared, but now I'm so brave." Boom, my work here is done.
That's interesting, Liz. Yeah, you're talking about your family. So I've spoken to many artists on the show who literally collaborate with their family members. Like I never heard of Bad Mary, but Amanda Mack is the lead singer. Her husband, um, and her father is a drummer. So, and another that many of them say, "Oh, well, my son is a drummer or something." It's interesting how, like, I don't know if I had a band, I'd want to have family members because it's I don't know, it's something like that. But you ever thought of collaborating with a family member?
Oh, my dad used to play the piano. He's passed away now, but he played the piano, and I used to do many concerts with him when I was
Oh
younger,
wow,
usually fundraisers. My nephew, who's actually a film animator, is also a fantastic musician. And one of my
nice,
latest singles, a track called "Don't Give Up," which was about three singles ago, which is on Spotify.
mm,
That's a co-write with my nephew, and he's part of our live group collective. So I've done a few shows with him. But my other nephew is an art designer, and he does all the artwork for the albums. And
nice,
then my niece is into marketing, so she helps out with social media. And my other, so basically it's all family. Everybody in the family gets dragged in one way or another, whether they have any musical skills whatsoever. They get
nice.
dragged in somehow, even if it's just, to bounce off and for feedback. And, I'll send them stuff and say, what do you think of this? Have I written it before? Has someone else? Sometimes when songs come so quickly and you think, have I remembered this or have I written this? So yeah, my family are really instrumental in what I do. But my nephew Donny and my dad, I recorded a song on the Nashville album that my dad had written when he first met my mum when they were teenagers.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
fun.
want to ask you about the guitars in the back there. You got Taylors and Martins and Gibsons,
I've
or
got not Taylor's. I have two Martins. I have Rosie, who is the one that's just there in front of the piano. There. There you go. That's Rosie. She's a Martin. She's about 30, 40 years old. and she's the one that I would save in a fire. And then I have another Martin called Janice,
Wow.
and I use that mainly for rhythm work. And then I've got the resonator, and then I've got my. Do you want to see my new child?
Look at that. Wow.
How cute is this?
I like it. Look at that. Wow, look at the roses and designs
I know,
on it. It's amazing.
it's
Yeah, I
so
like
cute,
it.
isn't it? And it sounds great. In fact, um, oh God, Gordon Giltrap was here a few weeks ago to do some filming stuff, and he picked up this guitar and said it was probably one of the best electrics for the money that he'd ever played. And he also loved he also played my Martins. So yeah, those are my main ones. And I've got a little Epiphone Strat up there and an Ovation. And yeah, I just, as you can see, I love guitars.
So that one is always on stage, but are any of the other ones there? Have they ever been on stage as well?
No, I pretty much always play the Martin on stage, almost always. Yeah, I use the others in the studio and occasionally, but when I play live, we normally play strip sets. So Gus plays acoustic guitar, I play acoustic guitar, Pat
Mm.
plays cajon and djembe, and then double bass. So we keep it all stripped
Wow.
back acoustic.
Wow, Liz, that's amazing. I love those guitars, especially that one that's a nice, got a nice design on it. I've seen glass guitars. I've seen guitars made from cigar boxes. I
Oh yeah,
saw
a little
the Lego
cigar.
guitar. I saw someone who made
Oh
a guitar out of Lego, and it's actually playable as well.
yeah, no, I've got. Let me find this. I have got a little. Oh, you've seen them. I've got a little oil can guitar here.
Oh
And
wow.
that's quite cute. Let me get it for you. I can't just talk about it and I'll grab it and we'll get it. That was nothing.
Oh wow, look at
this,
that. Wow, hey.
this is cute. And this is really cool. Oh, and it's not tuned up because it's been on the shelf. But this, when it's plugged in, actually sounds really nice.
I don't
And
believe
it
it.
even has
Bohemian.
a real, you can actually fill it up and hide things in
Oh
it.
wow, that's funny. That
It's
is
funny.
hilarious. Yeah,
I know.
I
And
love
I've
it.
got a little pig nose electric that I took to New Orleans when we played there. That was a lot of fun.
Well, what do you think of the 4 and 6 neck guitars? Do you find useful them?
No, I've got enough trouble with one neck. No.
I've actually seen a guy on YouTube. He actually play. He shows you how to play it. He plays every single one of those necks. Really
Right.
interesting.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I
I,
mean that's not playing the guitar. I worked with an African band a couple of years ago. I was with a band of African players from Uganda and the Gambia, and I worked with a kora player, and there's 21 strings on that thing. And I don't even know how he tuned it. I mean, I couldn't get my head around it.
well, I know that Robin Zander from Cheap Trick he plays one. I think it's a 3 or 4 neck guitar. So they actually do play them. Um, Liz, how do you stay inspired and motivated to create new music?
Because there's always inspiration around. And I just love it. I mean, I write most days. I write something most days. Martin Sutton actually said to me, he said, just remember, 95% of what you write is not your best 5%. And he just really encourages you to write and write and to flow, not to get stuck on a song. It's rare now that I'll spend long writing a song. I'll spend a lot of time trying to craft it and get it perfect afterwards. But I've learned to write quickly and just let the ideas out and then come back and sort out the mess later. So yeah, I find inspiration literally in everything. I mean, your hat's already appealing to me.
How do you hope listeners take away from your music? Like, what do you want them to take away? What kind of message?
Um, Message. I think think I just want people to to resonate. So, if I'm singing a song, about love or loss, I want, them to resonate with their love and their loss, and just know that lots everybody has those feelings. I think that's what it is. A lot of people. Somebody said to me once, "I can't even look you in the eye when you're singing live. I feel so much like I'm intruding, and that I'm almost a voyeur." But that's kind of what I want people to take away from the music and from my songs, is just that, anything that you get from this song, hopefully you will realize that other people feel like that as well. Because sometimes, when you have emotions, you sometimes feel like you're the only one that's feeling like that, or you're the only one that it's happened to. Logically that you're not. Somebody else must have had their heart broken. It can't only be me. But there is that feeling when it's you that nobody gets it. Nobody, and it's really, and nobody's heart has been broken quite this badly. There's this kind of sense that nobody really gets you. So it's a bit of that for me, really. I just want people to go away thinking, yeah, I felt like that. I know what you mean.
How, wow. How do you see Auburn's music evolving in the future? Like, what are your plans for the band?
For the band, yeah, more collaborating, more mixing up the genres. I like, I've been working with a couple of rappers recently. Dante Augustus from Ottawa in Canada, who's a young rapper. We have a new single coming out shortly with him called John Doe, which is a story of a girl that's met this guy who she thinks is totally in love with her and is going to marry her. And she's telling her father, who's passed away, all about this.
Mm.
And he's up there looking down, going, no, he's a con man. Don't run. But of course, she can't hear him. So she's still there. So I work with that rapper. And then there's another fantastic urban rapper from Nottingham called Sanka GB that I did a song called Sweet Dreams with,
Oh,
which is
wow.
quite urban, heavy. He's a great rapper. So I'm working on a new track with him. So just more collaboration and more cross, fusion of genres, really.
Wow, I love how you express yourself, and that English accent is amazing. I love English accent. Yeah. Um, so do you think the music industry has changed since you started? Like, how have
God,
you adapted to it?
well, it's certainly changed. When I started, I was being signed to record labels and I had absolutely no control and no, you just sort of went with the flow. Now, it's much more um, independent and everybody's doing their own thing. And, there's more agency. You have more agency. You have more control over what you do. You definitely have more creative control. I mean, some of the stuff that labels had me recording, was just so not me. Just so not me. My family were like, "What is that?" They didn't even recognize my voice on some of the tracks. That's how weird it was. Um, so I think it's changed because I think being an independent artist now, you can be an independent artist. Obviously, there's 100,000 tracks or something released on Spotify a day or a week. I'm not sure. I think it's a day actually. So you still have that same kind of competition that was always there, but at least now you've got a chance to get your stuff out there. Because when I first started out, you couldn't. The only way your music was heard is if a record company released it and then a radio station played it. There was no other options. So for me, that's how it's developed. That you can release your own material, you can interact with your own fan base, um, and you can get to hear so much other stuff. And so I think that feeds it. Inspiration feeds inspiration.
So, have you ever performed shows here in Canada, like Toronto? Because that's where I'm from.
I haven't, but I would love to. I haven't.
Okay.
I've
So let's
never.
say Liz Lenton and Auburn, the band is at, we call it the Alma Combo, which is one of the biggest Toronto. It's been there for over 50, 60 years, and a lot of good bands playing there. So let's say in Alma Combo, then you're playing there, wherever in Toronto, and some aspiring musicians walk up to you and want to aspire to follow in your footsteps. What kind of advice would you give them?
My advice would be First of all, don't wait for anyone to do anything for you. Do it yourself. That's always my first piece of advice, because a lot of people come to me, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And I'm like, you need to do it. So that's the first thing. Secondly, don't be scared to ask for help and support, because we all need it. Um, and thirdly, help and support everybody else when you can, because this is the kind of industry that's all about networking, and it's all about working together and helping each other out. Um, and it's slightly karmic, I believe. I just think you've got to give as much as you can, and then through the ether, you'll get back. I have had so much help over the years, and I've given as much help as I can possibly give to people as well, because I just think so. That's my advice, really. And the obvious, don't give up. That's one way it won't happen.
Yeah, I was talking to an artist once, and I said, "So, what sort of advice would you give to upcoming artists? Someone like one of your fans walks up to you and says, 'What do I do? I want to be like you.'" And he goes, "Don't." I thought it was funny.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would probably say good luck. Um, but I do work with a lot of young people, so I am constantly, doling out advice to young people,
Mm.
and that's pretty much what I tell them.
Wow.
You know, don't be scared.
This is
Don't be scared.
this is really an amazing interview. I'm so happy that
Oh,
Kate Gordon and this is shout out to Kate Gordon.
yeah. Hi,
Kate
happy birthday.
Gordon.
It's Caden's birthday today. Happy birthday,
Yes,
Caden.
20 years old. I know he's done so much for the music
He's
industry.
incredible. I
Yeah, he's
know.
incredible. And he
I
got us
can't
together too, which is great.
believe he did. Yeah, he's been
Um,
great, actually. He's been really good. He's introduced me to
so,
some lovely
but
people.
thank you, Liz, for sharing incredible journey insights with us. And it's
Thank
clear
you.
that your dedication, passion for music has not only shaped your career, but also inspired countless others. From your
Oh,
early days in London jazz scene to international acclaim, you have remained true to your unique voice and
thank,
vision.
thank
And your
you.
work with setting Auburn and the remarkable albums you produced with Tom Jutz have left an indelible mark on the music industry. And your
Oh,
commitment to live performances and your community focused music education initiatives demonstrate the depth of your impact both on and off the stage. Now,
oh,
as Auburn continues to evolve and create new music, we eagerly anticipate the stories and emotions that will resonate through your songs. Everyone, a recent release, including My Favorite Mistake, Good to Be Anywhere, and the upcoming behind the scenes, promise to captivate and inspire her audience once again. So, Liz, we wish you continued success and look forward to the next chapter in the extraordinary musical journey. Thank
thank
you for
you.
being inspiration, for sharing your artistry with the world. Right there, Liz. Okay, everyone. Everything will be linked down below in the show notes, including her website and her music and everything. Um, you don't have a YouTube channel. I looked all over for it, so you don't have one.
Uh, Not a specific one, no. I've got, if you go to my website, We Are Auburn, there's a watch page, and that links you through to all the live stuff,
Okay, thank you.
videos.
Okay, everyone, gonna end the stream.
Thank you
Bye,
so
everyone.
much for having me.
Bye,
Thanks.
Liz. One
Bye.
moment.